Everyone thinks the AI bubble bursting will save their jobs. The opposite is true. When this market corrects, job losses will accelerate dramatically, not slow down. Companies cannot unbuild data centers they already paid for. Post-crash, they must use deployed automation to justify infrastructure spending when shareholders demand returns. I'm going to show you why technology persists through market crashes, which sectors face the highest risk, and 3 concrete signals you can use to assess your own exposure. If you're finding this framework useful, subscribe now. This is part 1 of a series on AI economics, and you don't want to miss the next 2 videos. Let's establish something clearly. This is a genuine bubble with specific warning signs, and the timeline is imminent. Goldman Sachs predicts the AI market crashes within 12 to 24 months. JP Morgan's CEO Jamie Dimon sees a 30% chance within 6 months. These aren't fringe predictions. They're from institutions that move global capital. The valuation extremes tell the story. Nvidia reached a $5 trillion market cap with a PE ratio between 55 and 58 times earnings. That's elevated, but not the most extreme example. Palantir trades at over 600 times earnings. That's 3x higher than Cisco's peak during the dot-com bubble. Even by historical bubble standards, this is extreme. OpenAI commands a $500 billion valuation despite projecting $14 billion in losses for 2026, with no profitability until 2029. The company literally loses money on every ChatGPT interaction, yet investors price it as if profitable dominance is guaranteed. But here's the genuine concern. The AI ecosystem runs on circular financing that creates artificial demand while concentrating risk. Nvidia deployed $110 billion in vendor financing. That's money invested in AI companies who then use those exact funds to buy Nvidia's chips. The same capital appears on multiple balance sheets. For every $10 billion Nvidia invests in OpenAI, it generates $35 billion in GPU purchases, 27% of Nvidia's annual revenue coming from its own investment. That's the circular trap. And here's why it matters for you. When that loop breaks, the automation doesn't disappear. The financial justification for using it gets stronger. OpenAI's CFO openly acknowledged this. Most money OpenAI raises goes back to Nvidia. Legendary short seller Jim Chanos captured it perfectly. Don't you think it's odd that when demand is infinite, sellers subsidize buyers? The Bank of England warned in October 2025 that AI equity valuations appear stretched. They noted market concentration leaves equities exposed if AI expectations shift. A Bank of America survey found 54% of fund managers said AI equities are in a bubble. The companies cutting jobs right now are the profitable ones. Microsoft reported 13% revenue growth while eliminating 15,000 positions. Amazon announced 14,000 cuts while maintaining profitability. These aren't distressed companies. They're successful companies optimizing through automation. The bubble is real. The warnings are credible. The timeline is 12 to 24 months. Profitable companies are already cutting jobs strategically. Here's why most people completely misunderstand what happens when the correction arrives. There's a critical distinction. Financial valuations and deployed technology are separate systems. They move independently. Let me make this concrete. GitHub Copilot has 15 million users right now. It's integrated into development environments, writing 46% of code on average. 90% of Fortune 100 companies deployed it. Here's the key question. If Microsoft's stock drops from $400 to $40 tomorrow, does GitHub Copilot stop working? Does it suddenly stop generating code suggestions? The software keeps functioning. The functionality depends on API access and infrastructure, not market cap. The software continues operating because it's infrastructure, not speculation. And this principle applies to every deployed automation system. Klarna's customer service chatbot handles work equivalent to 700 full-time agents. When markets correct, does the chatbot suddenly forget how to process inquiries? The data centers keep running. The trained models continue functioning. Companies redesigned workflows around these tools. Removing them would require active effort and create disruption. Now let me show you why this matters by looking at what actually happened during the dot-com crash. The failures are well known. Pets.com collapsed after 9 months. Webvan burned $800 million. The Nasdaq fell 77%. Trillions evaporated. Amazon's stock dropped from $107 to $7, a 93% decline. The company's market value essentially disappeared. And yet, Amazon survived. Why? Because Amazon had a functional business model generating actual cash flow. It had a negative cash conversion cycle. Customers paid immediately while Amazon took 30+ days to pay suppliers. This generated cash as it grew, unlike competitors burning funding with no viable economics. The bubble eliminated weak players while strengthening those with genuine models. Google survived through functional search and advertising. eBay persisted through transaction fees. Here's the critical insight. The infrastructure built during bubbles persists after the crash. The railroad bubble left tracks. The canal bubble left waterways. The telecom bubble left fiber optic networks that powered the next internet wave. After the telecom crash, less than 5% of fiber cables were even being used. But that infrastructure didn't disappear. It enabled broadband, streaming, and cloud computing. The overinvestment created the foundation for the next era. Think about that. Companies spent billions on fiber that sat dark for years. Then suddenly, it became the backbone of everything. The same pattern is playing out with AI data centers right now. Microsoft spent $80 billion on AI infrastructure in 2025. Meta committed $66 to $72 billion. Amazon $100 billion. Alphabet $85 billion. These data centers exist right now, requiring operational overhead. This brings us to the mechanism that accelerates job displacement. Management must justify hundreds of billions in permanent infrastructure costs to shareholders demanding returns. Picture the shareholder meeting 6 months after the bubble bursts. The CFO says, "We invested $80 billion in AI infrastructure. Our stock is down 60%. What returns can we show?" They have one path: use the infrastructure they built to reduce other costs. The largest controllable cost is labor. Natural attrition goes unreplaced. Hiring freezes become permanent where automation proves adequate. Here's how it actually plays out. First, employers/payroll going into a downturn. Then comes the second step nobody sees. They turn to software to do the work those people used to do. And it works. Harvard Business Review found companies using automation to boost efficiency outperform companies that just cut people and hope. The Washington Post researched recession dynamics and found robots infiltrate the workforce in surges, not gradually. Those surges happen during recessions when companies have strong incentives to automate. Now here's what makes this different. In the past, companies automated because they were struggling financially. Today, profitable companies with strong earnings are cutting jobs strategically. Microsoft invests $10 billion in OpenAI while eliminating 15,000 positions. They're succeeding with automation while companies without automation often can't afford cuts. When the bubble bursts, these companies accelerate what they started. The 41% of employers planning AI-driven workforce reductions is a floor, not a ceiling. That survey captured intentions before market correction pressure. Let me be specific about which sectors face highest immediate risk. Think in 3 phases. Phase 1. Now through 2026, companies deploy automation quietly while the bubble inflates. Phase 2. Late 2026 through 2027. The crash window when Goldman and JP Morgan's warnings materialize. Phase 3. 2027 through 2029. Post-crash acceleration, when shareholder pressure forces companies to justify AI spending by cutting labor costs aggressively. Customer service faces 80% automation potential, affecting 2.24 million U.S. jobs. Current implementations show 30% cost reduction, with leaders achieving 50 to 70% automation. Klarna reduced from 5,000 employees to 3,000 while maintaining service quality. That's customer service. Now, are you in middle management? Because you're next. It comprised nearly 1/3 of all layoffs in 2024, up from 1/5 5 years earlier. AI automates coordination, scheduling, performance tracking, core functions. Content creation faces particular pressure because generative AI targets creative tasks. 89% of marketers already use AI for content creation. Companies increasingly accept good enough AI-generated content rather than paying for human creativity. Data entry and administrative work faces 95% automation risk, affecting 7.5 million jobs by 2027. AI systems process over 1,000 documents per hour with less than 0.1% error rates. If this is helping you think more clearly about your own job risk, tap like. It helps this content reach people who need it, and subscribe for the signal I'll show you at the end. Financial services could see 14% headcount reduction over the next 3 years, according to Goldman Sachs. 31% of tech, media, and communications companies are already cutting due to AI. That's nearly triple the 11% overall average. Now let's address what this means for you specifically. The World Economic Forum surveyed over 1,000 global employers representing 14 million workers. 41% plan workforce reductions due to AI over 5 years. The The report projects 92 million jobs displaced versus 170 million new jobs created, yielding a net gain of 78 million globally by 2030. But this obscures a devastating credentialing gap. 77% of new AI jobs require master's degrees. A 45-year-old data entry clerk with 20 years of experience cannot become an AI prompt engineer. Different education, different location, different trajectory. Let me tell you about Maria. She's 47, worked in insurance claims processing for 22 years. Last year, her company deployed an AI document scanner that processes in minutes what took her team days. This year, they announced efficiency gains and offered buyouts. Maria took it. She didn't have a master's in machine learning. She's not a failure. The system shifted. That data entry professional hasn't failed. The economic structure shifted beneath them through no fault of their own. This isn't about personal inadequacy. It's about system dynamics operating independent of individual effort or talent. Understanding the mechanism doesn't make it fair, but it does make it navigable. That's why I want to give you 3 concrete signals to assess your own exposure. Signal 1. Evaluate your role's automation vulnerability through task characteristics. Are your tasks routine and repetitive? Rule-based with clear if-then logic? High volume but low complexity? If you answer yes to 2 or 3 questions, your role faces near-term pressure. Here's what that looked like at Klarna. Their customer service team handled returns, refunds, and order tracking, high volume, repetitive, rule-based. In 2023, they deployed a chatbot. By 2024, they'd cut customer service headcount by 40%. The tasks were vulnerable, and the company had the infrastructure ready. Signal 2. Observe company behavior patterns. Profitable companies investing heavily in AI while emphasizing efficiency represent the highest near-term risk. Look for this combination. Strong earnings announcements while simultaneously rolling out AI infrastructure and workforce optimization initiatives. Real example. A major SaaS company reported 18% revenue growth in Q3 2025 while announcing a productivity initiative. Behind the scenes, they'd spent $200 million on AI tools and offered voluntary separation to 15% of staff. That's Signal 2 in action. Signal 3, understand the timeline. Goldman Sachs predicts correction within 12 to 24 months. JP Morgan sees 30% probability within 6 months. That's your window before the event triggers acceleration. Late 2026 to 2028 is when this intensifies. Mark your calendar. If you're in a vulnerable role and your company is showing Signal 2 behavior, the 18-month window after the first rate cut in 2026 is when the cuts will accelerate. That's your preparation horizon. The companies that survive share specific characteristics: strong balance sheets, deployed automation with measurable productivity gains, diversified business models, and demonstrated ability to maintain output with reduced headcount. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta survive because they generate hundreds of billions in operating cash flow. They've proven automation delivers genuine improvements. They emerge commanding larger market share with smaller workforces. Speculative players collapse, but survivors retain and intensify automation systems already deployed. And that brings us back to the paradox. Your job isn't safe because the bubble will burst. Your job faces greater risk because companies will use already deployed automation to prove their infrastructure investments were worthwhile. The separation between valuation and deployed technology means correction eliminates speculation while automation persists. Understanding this mechanism determines whether you prepare for what's actually coming or wait for salvation that never arrives. The bubble is real, the correction is coming, and the automation persists through it all. Subscribe for weekly videos on institutional mechanics and watch part 2 next to see which jobs disappear first in the acceleration phase.